truly thankful to be here this evening.
I sure appreciate you coming.
I love some of the things that Brother Brian began to speak about. You know, I feel like he hit on so many wonderful things right there.
Yeah.
We have to become willing, Brother Brandon, to just give up everything and just turn it all over to Him. You know, like the woman with the issue of blood. And, you know, as I begin to read that, and I imagine this woman, you know, on her hands and knees, just crawling, pressing through the crowd, trying to do whatever she could do just to get there and just to touch Him.
She just wants to sneak
Or,
in
you know, like old Zacchaeus, you know, when he heard that the Lord was going to be coming that day. And he said, so he went on ahead of the crowd and he said, I'm going to climb this big tree right here. So that I could just see my Lord when He was coming. You know, maybe he didn't know that the Lord was going to be coming that way. He'd call upon Him right there. You know, or what about when there was a young man and he was sick and they began to go to find this man called Jesus, and they said, they began to see the crowd all around the house of Jesus there. Where He was at, they couldn't get inside, but they, what did they do there? And they began to go up to the rooftops. Why let Him down right there through the roof? You see, we got to be willing today, Brother Brandon, you know. Why, when I was praying on account of my sins, how many times did I have to see one of you brothers, you or Jeremy, come to me and begin why to try to talk to me? I didn't want to hear it because why I was struggling in myself here. Why, and I dreaded when they would come around because I knew what I had to do. Why, but I just couldn't let it go, you see. Why, and then there was one time I remember we were all up there at Momo's house. A bunch of us had stayed up there. We had a long weekend with church. I remember here come my Uncle Chris, and I knew what he wanted with me. And I remember Sister Rachel, he began. He walked straight over to me as I was sitting there on the couch, and he said, come in here with me for a second. Why, I want to talk to you. Brother Brian, I knew what he wanted to talk to me about. And then we walked in that little bedroom right there, and he began to talk to me a little bit. And he said, what do you think about church? Why, Brother D, and I couldn't say anything. Why, because I knew that I loved the church. I knew that I'd been praying on account of my sins. I knew that I was trying to do what God wanted me to do. And he said, why, and I just couldn't say anything. The tears began to roll down my face. Why, and then he told me sometimes why we don't have to look for the fireworks. Why, they're not just gonna, my Lord, He can come out here and grab you by the hair of the head. He said, we're looking for all those fireworks. And he said, sometimes we need to quit worrying about just messing up and making a mistake. Why, just we bow our faith, dear people. Why, and I thought about that as I began to read about Peter one time when he was on a little ship. Brother Brandon, and they were out there without my Lord there. But then, why, they began to see something off in the distance there. And they began to say, is that a ghost that we see, or is it the Lord? And then he spoke to them. Why, when my Lord speaks to you, why, Brother Jeremy, you're going to know it's Him. Why, it ain't like nothing else that you've ever heard before. He said, it is me, Peter. Peter said, oh, Lord, if it's you, Lord, let me come out there to you, Lord. He said, come on, Peter. Why, then, no doubt, Peter. Why, he may have been thinking, well, what if I get out here and begin to sink or something? Oh, what if I get out here? Why, and I can't walk like that? You see, because maybe he was thinking that he was going to do something wrong with Brian, but why, he had to leap out there on faith, you see. And so Peter jumped out of the boat there. Why, then he began to go out, walking to my Lord there. And he said, why did he began to sink when the waves started coming? And he took his eyes off of the Lord there. How many times have we done that, Brother Chris? Why just took our eyes off the Lord? Why fell flat on our face here? Why, but when he did that, I began to sing. The only thing that he knew to say was, oh Lord, save me. Why, my Lord was there, Brother Brian. On it says that he reached down his hand and picked him right back up. Why, how many times have I felt like my Lord's been there for me? Why, to pick me up when I fell on my face, you see. You know, we see now that we're living in a world that's full of troubles here. Heartaches and sorrows on every side, you know. I began to talk about this a little bit last week, Brother Jeremy, and it's on my mind now. You know, we had another school shooting, they said the other day, up at a little high school in Louisville. And then it began to make me think, well, it seems like we're beginning to have these more and more often. It seems like such a dangerous world that we live in. And it always makes me think of one little shooting that happened one time at the Columbine High School, you see. Why, at this high school there was a young girl that went there by the name of Rachel Scott, and she was just such a sweet little girl there, probably just 14 or 15 years old. Why, they always would talk about this girl because she was different. They said she always told them, I'm gonna die young here. I just feel that something tells me and I'm going to leave this world at a young age. Brother Brian, she still has a smile on her face. She still had some kind of peace in her, Brother Brandon, and it said, why, every time there's something that someone was being picked on at school, she'd be the first one to go over there and put a stop to that. One time, they said there was a kid over here, why, by his lockers, and these other kids began to come over there and bully him. Why, she ran right over there, got in between them. She told them, mean boys, she said, you leave him alone here. Why, she made them go the other way. Why, how many times, why, you felt like my Lord came in, why, and had to take care of you. Why, she said there was another time, she went in the cafeteria right there. Why, there was a little boy over here, sitting all by himself, didn't have any friends. So the first thing that this young girl did, she left her friends and she went right over there to his table, and she just sat right there with him. Maybe just let him know you got a friend here. You got a friend in me, you see. Why, how many times has my Lord had to do that for me? Why, come over and pick me up when maybe when I felt like I didn't have a friend in the world here. Why, but that young girl, she was there when those boys came to that school with those guns. Why, began to shoot everyone inside and said, why, but for some reason, she had expected to die early there. Why, she did. She lost her life that day. And it was a very sad tragedy for that school and that family. But, you know, I read something the other day. That little girl's father began to write a big speech, and he wanted to write it out to our nation's leaders. But there was one problem because they didn't want to hear it, Brother Brian. This man, he began to talk in this letter, and he said, why, my daughter, she lost her life in this school shooting one day. Why, now it seems like everyone, we want to blame the guns and say, those guns killed those people that day. He said it wasn't the guns. He said, but you can look back even in the beginning. He said, and when Cain slew Abel one day, he said it was what was in his heart, you see. Maybe it's what we're teaching our young people today. And that's how he began to talk. He said, why now we're taking prayer out of schools and saying you can't pray at school and stuff like that. Why, he said, I've got news for you people today. He said that's where the problem started. He said it wasn't the guns. He said, but it was what was in their hearts, you see. So he began to talk like that. Why, he even wrote a big poem about it. And it was just so pretty what he said. Why, but he just kept talking about why it's what we're teaching them today, you see. Why, but then he began to talk and he said, I have another little son. Why, he went to that same school. Why, he said, I got news for you today. Why, you can take prayer out of the classroom. But, he said, on that day that my daughter lost her life, he said, my little son was in that school. Why, he climbed up under a little desk somewhere. Why, he said, I got news for you. Prayer came back into school that day. I'm glad today. What are you teaching your young people today? Sister Crystal, what do you think your kids would do? Why, if someone came into their school, why they had a little gun? Why, Brother Jeremy, I bet they wouldn't hesitate. I bet they'd get right down on their knees. I begin to pray to my Lord here. Why, I'm glad that we can still teach our young people where that our help comes from. You know, it made me think of another shooting one time when these men, they come into the school and began to shoot everyone. And there was a brave young teacher there, and she told all her little kids, she said, go over here in the corner and hide. And she said, just be real quiet and I'll take care of this. And she walked over to the door, she said, why, she was just standing there, and when the man with the gun come by, she said, she began to tell him, my students aren't in here. No doubt the door was locked, and she stood right in front of it, Brother D. She said, my students, they went to the gym, they're not in here. She stood right there in between that door, no doubt with her head stretched out, and that man, he shot her. Why, he just kept on going that day. What that teacher did for those kids, she lost her life, she gave her life for them, so that they could live, Brother Brandon. Ain't you glad that one day our little mountain called Calvary? I held out his arms like this. I gave up his life so that we could live and go somewhere where there be no more trouble. You know, I can look everywhere. I see trouble over here. I see heartaches over here. I see sorrows back there. But I can look up and see peace and joy forevermore.
Lord.
Thankful for that.
I find peace and joy and love in my Lord. No matter what comes my way, I'm glad that I have someone that I can turn to, someone that on this world they can't tell me that I can't pray, Brother Brandon. Why, they can throw us in the den, they can throw us in the flame, but I know a man, why gonna be there. I know a man, he's already been there with me. He already went there. And he promised, he said, I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you, and I'll go with you all the way into the ends of the earth. And that's the man that I want you to get in contact with today. I'm going to get out of the way and let these brothers come. Any way you want to do it, Brother Chris, I'm thankful to be here.
Thank you, Lord.